Welcome back to the vlog. This is vlog 209. I just returned from my vacation in Zion with the family. Had a great time. A few of you guessed where I was, and it was a really enjoyable trip. Highly recommend visiting there if you haven't been to Zion before. Lots of hiking, lots of scenery, and I'm glad I had some electric bikes to get around. It made the trip a little bit easier. Anyway, let's get back into poker. This is the session the day after I returned. It was a Wednesday over at Capital Casino, playing in the 1-3 game, buying for $500. First hand of the day occurs 20 minutes into the session. It appears to be a fairly passive table. I got king 10 of spades. There's one limper, so I raised to 15. I get called by the two players behind me and the limper. Four of us go to a flop that comes jack 6 deuce with 2 spades. Pretty good flop for king 10 of spades. Check to me. I'm going to go ahead and continue for $30. Player on my direct left thinks for a moment and then puts in the call. The other two players ended up folding out, so it's just going to be the two of us when we see a turn card, which comes a queen of clubs. Now it gives me an open-ender. I was going to continue if I got a good scare card or something that made my hand a little bit better. This falls into that category, both a scare card and it makes my hand better. So I lead again for $75. My goal is to have him fold. If he calls, I have a pot-sized bet left, and I was going to put it in there, win or lose, whether I make it or not. Anyway, he thinks for a while before finally putting in the call. So we're going to go see that river card with 274 in, and it's the 8 of hearts. So we miss everything. Time to put in the old all-in bluff. I shove. He looks back at his cards a few times. Eventually, he decides on a fold. So we get this one through. Good way to start off the day. A player in the low jack opens for 15 with a very, very short stack. I got pocket nines. This is more like a flip situation because he probably has 2 overs at least. But I got to isolate him. I don't want to see the people behind me call or the blinds call. So I make it 60. Everyone folds out. He goes all in for $44, I believe. And I make the quick call. I tell him that I have a middle-sized pair. He says he doesn't have a pair, so I figure he has 2 big cards. I decided to flip over my hand so we can all watch along. He does the same with his queen jack of spades. He gets a good flop with 2 spades, and he nails it on the turn. We're drawing completely to go into that river card. It doesn't matter. He only had $44, so it's not too bad. Maybe this is a sign of some run good when you get beat by short stacks. Haven't had too much to play, but here I have ace jack offsuit in the low jack. Definitely worth a raise. So I make it $15. I get 2 callers behind me. So 3 of us are going to head off to this flop with $49 in the center. I get a pretty good flop. It comes jack 7-5 rainbow. So top pair, top kicker. It's a green light to bet. I bet $20. Probably could go a little bit larger here. I get a quick call from the player on my left and the following player. Turn card comes is a 6 of spades. This card's a little bit dangerous. Not only does it bring in a bunch of 2-pair type of hands, but also the double gutter with 8-9 gets there. And that's definitely in my opponent's range. So I decided to play it cautiously and just put in the checks. If the player has a jack behind me, I'm sure they're going to be betting. And they bet $30, which is a little bit on the small side. The other player decides to fold out. When they do, I was contemplating maybe just putting in a check raise here and building a pot, but I decided just to play it slow, put in the call. River card comes as a blank. I figured if they had something, they'll continue, but they check it back. I show my ace jack, and they muck rather quickly. Might have lost a little value on this one. Well, the next hand I get ace jack offsuit again. So, of course, I'm going to be raising with it. I make it $15. I only get called by the player in the big blind. He has a fairly decent sized stack, and he looks to play hands with me when he has something decent. So the flop comes Jack 9-4 with 2 spades. He checks it over to me. I'm going to bet a little bit on the larger size because he has a deeper stack, and if he's going to chase, I want him to pay a little bit extra. So I make it $20, and he quickly folds. A little while later, I pick up Ace Jack again. There's one player that limps in. I raise to $20. Can I go 3 for 3 with my Ace Jack? I get called from the player behind me and from the original limper. So we're going to go 3 ways to this flop with $64 in the center. Flop comes out King 8 Deuce Rainbow. Very dry flop. First player checks. I decide to go ahead and stab at it. See if I can get someone to fold their hands, maybe small pairs or something. I bet $30. If I get called, I'm probably in trouble. Player to my left thinks for a little bit before putting in the call. I'm probably not good here. I should probably give up on this. Looking for an ace, and instead I catch a jack. I get the crazy idea. I do have the ace of diamonds. Maybe I can turn my hand into a bluff if I get another diamond. Plus I have a jack with a decent kicker. So I put in a small bet, just seeing what they would do. If they put in a raise, I'm just going to dump it. But they put in a quick call. All right, I'm pretty much done with this hand. River card comes is a 3 of spades. I figured I was going to check this thing, and they go ahead and bet, which is really surprising. Are they betting for value? Are they turning their hand into a bluff? What kind of bluffs would they have? I mean, maybe they had a pair of 8s with a diamond draw and they decided to call. But I couldn't figure out what hands they could be bluffing with, so I determined that they're most likely just betting a king for value, or maybe, I guess that's what it is. I thought they would check back a 1-pair type of hand, but they decided to bet for $100. So it feels like a bluff, but I can't find one, so I just let it go and let them take it down. So occasionally you have to mix it up so no one can really get a good idea what you're playing. There's 2 limpers. I raised to 20 with 7-5. Yes, it's very loose. Yes, it shouldn't be done often. But I do it once or twice a day. I'll take a hand that I shouldn't really play this way and play it aggressively. And this is that one time. I do get 2 callers. So we're going to go 3 ways to a flop here with $67 in the center. I'm hoping for a good flop because you get raised and called with this and hit it. No one's going to see it coming. Pretty good flop. Ace 10-7. So I flop a pair and a flush draw. First player checks. I'm going to go ahead and continue for $30. I get a call from the player on my left who's been getting involved with me just about every hand I play. Player to my right also thinks for a bit and then puts in the call. Looking to hit this thing, and instead we get the Jack of Clubs. Probably one of the worst cards in the deck. Really completes a lot of hands my opponents can have. And on top of that, the player in first position decides to lead out for $40. Well, at least he's not making it too expensive. I got a pair, which if I hit a 7 is probably good. Don't think a 5 would be good here. It feels like 2 pair or straight he's betting. But I'm pretty sure my flush is good. And we get an overcall from the player behind. So with 277, we see a river of a 10 of clubs. We totally brick out. He checks. No use trying to steal this. I'm going to get caught. So I check it. He ends up turning over ace jack. So good for him. We missed our hand. Well, if I'm going to be raising with 7-5, I'm definitely going to be doing it with 8-7, even if it's under the gun. So I make it 15. End up getting 3 callers. So not great. I haven't really picked up any premium hands today, so I haven't been able to get super aggressive against these players because they're all a little bit sticky. We go 4 ways to a flop that comes out Jack 9-9 with 2 diamonds. There is 1 heart, so I got a gutter to a straight, but this board I'm just going to check, try to get the showdown if I can, maybe get lucky and turn something. I do make a double gutter, brick out the double gutter, but I do make a pair of 8s. It's checked around again, and I ended up winning this with a pair of eights, which is always good to win a pot, even when it's a little teeny one like this. Still no premiums. I get 9-7 on the button. There's one limper I decided to raise to $20, just trying to take it down. I get called by the big blind. The limper shoves all in. I got caught. I got nothing. I don't think he's very strong, but hey, my hand's a piece of you know what. So I muck it, so is the other player, and he got me this time. One round later, the player opens for $9 on the button. I got a real hand finally, an ace king of clubs in the small blind. I make it 36. It comes around to the big blind who is interested in the hand, and they put in the call for the 36. As I said, they've been playing just about every hand I play. Well, it looks like the button has something after all. He decides to jam all in again. Is he doing this light? Well, he could be. Does he have a hand? He might. Am I ever going to fold ace king suited from a button raise and jam? No, not for that stack size. Definitely not. So he's all in for $268. Now the question becomes, what about the player in the big blind? I know I'm going to at least call. Well, should I reshove? They have about 500 in chips in front of them. They might have some sort of pocket pair that I might be able to get a fold out of. And if this player's doing this move on the button with, say, ace queen or ace jack, that'll be a good situation. So I go ahead and re-jam. I'm not sure this is correct, but they've been wanting to play pots with me all day long. And I don't think they would fold if I just called. So if they're going to come along, I'm going to charge them the max. I might have the best hand. I might not. I'll be happy if they fold. I'll be happy if they called. I'm indifferent to the whole thing. For taking for a long time, they do end up folding what they later said was ace king. So after they toss their cards in, the player next to me says, "Oh, you have queens, don't you?" I know you have queens, which makes me think he has ace king also. Flop comes 4-3 deuce, rainbow, no help. 8 of hearts, 7 of hearts. We got ace high. He's a little reluctant to show, but he finally turns over. He has ace king with the king of hearts, and I show him my ace king, and there's a whole lot of excitement for a chop pot. Again, I decided to play a hand I probably shouldn't be playing. We have a player limp in. I raise with king 7 of clubs. Get called from the player on my left, and you know how it goes. I get 3 callers. So we're going 4 ways to a flop with not a very good hand. It comes out 9-5-4 rainbow. There's no club in sight. It gets checked to me. I'm just going to check this and give up on it. It does get checked around, so I was thinking maybe a 7. Ooh, a 7 does help. It could bring in some sort of straight and some sort of 2 pair. Player to my right now bets. He's a kind of aggressive player, so I might be the best here. But I really don't want to put in a raise and face a re-raise. So I said a call. And that ends up bringing in everyone else. So we go 4 ways to the river looking for a blank or preferably a king. And we get the 3 of clubs. So now there's a one-liner to a straight with a 6. Player to my left ends up betting for $100. 2 quick folds in here, even though I think that they could be making a move. It's too hard to call down someone who bets into 3 opponents, so I'm just going to have to let him take it. Well, I'm in the cutoff with King Jack offsuit. I decided to raise to 15. Get called by the button and the blind, and we go 3 ways to a flop with 48 in. Flop comes King Queen 4 with 2 hearts. I do have top pair, decent kicker. If someone had a better kicker, they would have been raising. So I bet $20. I get called in both spots. Turn card comes as a blank 8 of clubs. It really shouldn't connect with anything about that board. There's a lot of draws out there. I'm going to increase my bet sizing, trying to get value from, say, straight draws, flush draws, and maybe another king. I make it $70. I get a pretty quick call from the player on my left. In the past, they do this with hands like a king, and they would just call Could be a flush draw, could be a straight draw. River card's not good. It's a 3 of hearts, so any flush draw gets there. I check it over to them, and they decided to bet with the I thought was 100, but it ended up being $95, which is like their standard bet. I check to see if I have a heart. I do not, so that's a bad sign. That means there's a higher likelihood that they have a heart in their hand. I am blocking Jack 10 for the straight draw. It's a tough spot. You know, they play it like they're on a flush draw, but this player is the same player that I think overvalued top pair or turned their top pair into a bluff before. And I think they might be doing it again. So I feel like they have a high likelihood of just having a king. So I put in the call saying, if you have a flush, it's good. They roll over the king 10 of diamonds. So we get this one, but it was a tough call. This next hand, I'm in the big blind with Jack 10 suited. Someone put in a min raise, and it got 4 callers. So I'm just going to call, see a flop. And the flop comes Queen Jack 9 with 2 clubs. So I flop second pair, open end straight draw. I check it. Player at the end of the table bets 15. And now the player to my right in the small blind check raises to 50. I don't like this, of course. I don't think drawing to a straight is very wise in this kind of situation. The other player has a short stack and is likely to go all in if they have anything strong. So I fold. The player does jam all in. The other one snap calls. Turn card's a 6 of clubs. They turn over 5-4 of clubs for the flush. River's a 3 of clubs. Player on my right flop 2 pair and then notices that he has the jack of clubs. And I don't think it was an intentional slow roll. It was just like he had 2 pair and he had a flush on top. Well, I pick up king queen on the button. Pretty good for being card dead all day long. The player comes in for $6. I raise to 20. I get called from the big blind and the player who came in for 6. Flop comes out Jack Jack 4. Pretty good flop for my hand. Nobody should really connect with that board unless they have a jack. Check to me. I'm going to take a stab at it for $30. Hopefully I can just take this down. First player thinks for a little while before folding. Whew, good. The other one quickly folds, and I win a small pot to end the day. So not the most exciting day. I only had like 1 pair, which was a pair of 9s that I got beat. And I had ace king once, and I ended up chopping with that. The rest of the time is just middling cards and middling play, trying not to get stacked, and squeaked out a small win of $230. I'll take it. For the month, I'm about $1,600. For the year, I'm just around $14,000. Not as high as I would like, but then again, you can't always predict the unpredictable. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. I'm happy to be back. More poker next week. Hopefully I'm going to put in some longer sessions this summer and see if we can get some really good material for you guys to watch. So until next time, good luck at the tables, and we'll see you back here soon.